Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. My name is Payne Patchett, and this is game number 10 of the 2018 Varsity Baseball season and the second and final conference meeting between the Lake Stevens Vikings and the Kamiak Knights. We are back at Lake Stevens High School. This time the Vikings are playing as the home team after they beat the Kamiak Knights 9-0 yesterday on Thursday, April 12th here at Lake Stevens High School, where the Vikings were the road team. This time on Friday the 13th, they will play as the home team, and a few more weird things to go along with Friday the 13th. Instead of Will Wentz, who has some arm discomfort, he will not be the starting pitcher for Lake Stevens Vikings today. Instead, it will be Connor Bardew making his first start since last season for the Lake Stevens Vikings with no wins, no losses, and an ERA of 2.33 in only 2 games for the Lake Stevens Vikings. For the Kamiak Knights, it is best assumed that the starting pitcher will be Luke Doughton, who was the starting shortstop for Kamiak yesterday as the Knights try to get another conference win. When we come back, it'll be the top of the first inning. We'll announce the lineups for both teams, and we'll get this game going from Lake Stevens High School as the Lake Stevens Vikings taking on the Kamiak Knights on Friday the 13th. And we are now at the top of the first inning here in this game between the Lake Stevens Vikings and the Kamiak Knights. The second game, the Kamiak Knights coming up to the plate. And it will be the center fielder number 6, Andrew Moore, who will be leading off for the Knights against Connor Bardew. The first pitch, ground ball to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, and throws it to Will Wentz. In time for the first out of the first inning already on the first pitch. Connor Bardew pitching in place of Will Wentz, who is experiencing some arm discomfort and is scratched from his normal start. And the first pitch will go outside for a ball one to the third baseman, Michael Cooper, and the 1-0 pitch, a fly ball, staying in the infield. Will Wentz calls for it and will make the catch for the second out of the first inning. And it will bring up the number 3 hitter, the starting pitcher, number 11, Luke Doughton. Off against Connor Bardew. First pitch, fly ball. This one going in the right field. Back going Bryce Medford, the right fielder. He's going back a long ways and he'll make the catch. He'll drop the ball. Doughton's riding towards third base. Hunter. Ball gets in and out of the glove, and Luke Doughton gets to third base on an error by the right fielder. Bryce Medford moving in a couple different directions as the wind was bothering him a little bit. It'll be an E9 as Luke Doughton gets to third base. And now we'll bring up the cleanup hitter, number 7, Morgan White, to Connor Bardew, ball 1. And the 1-0 by Connor. Ball 2 going outside. Connor Bardew, no wins and no losses with an ERA of 2.33. This is his third game and his first start. And he's only pitched in 3 innings before this. The 2-0 pitch upstairs, ball 3. And defensively for Lake Stevens on the mound is Connor Bardew. Behind the plate is Trey Long. On the infield, it is Tate Brust playing at third instead of Connor. And the 3-0 pitch, a strike one looking right down the middle. It'll be Hunter Zalesko playing at shortstop. Braden Miller playing at second base, and Will Wentz at first. And in the outfield is Ben Pizer, Christian LaPierre, and Bryce Medford, the 2-1, fielded by Tate Brust. The long throw to first, a nice one-hopper by Will, but no, he got off the bag, and Kamiak will strike first. Tate Brust fielded that one right next to the third base bag. It was a nice throw. But the infield umpire says that Will Wentz Stepped away from the bag. It'll bring up Bryce Coate, the catcher. First pitch, ball 1. And Connor looking over at first, the 1-0 upstairs, ball 2. It is Bryce Coate, the designated hitter for the Kamiak Knights. And the lineup for Kamiak, it'll be Andrew Moore, Michael Cooper, Luke Doughton, the pitcher, Morgan White, the shortstop. There's Bryce Coate, Andrew Stupi playing at right field, A.J. Riley at first base, Alex Ripke catching, and Cyrus Venata is at left field with Bryce Coate hitting for Nick Lahman, the second baseman. And the 2-0 by Connor. Upstairs, ball 3. And the 3-0 pitch, it's inside, ball 4. As Kamiak has runners on first and second. With 2 outs as Kamiak strikes first. And Connor Bardou facing off against Andrew Stupi, the starting right fielder, ball 1. And Connor, the 1-0. Low, ball 2. Bardou looking over at second, the 2-0, strike 1 looking. Two balls and 1 strike. Connor looking over at second base, the 2-1. Strike 2 looking. Connor now ahead of the count. As is interesting, Andrew Stupi and Alex Ripke, the 2 reserves, now in the lineup, and the 2-2 pitch, swing and a missed, strike 3. Kamiak strikes first after an error by Bryce Mefford as the Knights will take a 1-0 lead. Their first run in this series and their first lead in this series. 1 run on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. A not so good first inning for Connor Bardou. Here is Kamiak. They'll strike first, but it will be number 11, Luke Doughton, who was the shortstop yesterday. He'll come on the mound for Kamiak. As it'll be Ben Pizer, Trey Long, and Connor Bardou at the plate for the Lake Stevens Vikings as they try to tie the game here in the bottom of the first. As it is 1-0 Kamiak over Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning after Kamiak strikes first on an error and an RBI single. The Vikings now up to the plate for the first time. They have a chance to try and tie this game up as the starting pitcher Luke Doughton will face off against the left fielder Ben Pizer. The lineup for the 4-5 Lake Stevens Vikings consists of Ben Pizer, Trey Long, and Connor Bardou. As the first 3 batters, next pitch low for a ball 2, is Will Wentz, the first baseman, Christian LaPierre, the center fielder, and Hunter Zalesko in the 6th spot. Is the shortstop Hunter Zalesko in the 6th spot. The 2-0 outside, ball 3. And the 7-8-9 spot, the right fielder Bryce Mefford, the third baseman Tate Brust, and the second baseman Braden Miller. And the 3-0 count for Doughton. Strike 1 looking. It's the outside part of the strike zone. We have a couple Kamiak players who are already pulling out the tarp and the bullpen on their side of the dugout here at Lake Stevens High School. And as the rain here is seen to get worse, the 3-1 pitch. This one landing right in front of the center fielder, Andrew Moore, as the Vikings will get a base hit of their own, and they have a leadoff runner at first. They'll bring up Trey Long. First pitch, strike one looking to Trey. Luke Doughton, last year he pitched in 6 games, starting 1 last year. No wins, no losses, with an ERA of 9.55. Next pitch goes into the dirt, to the glove, and into the glove of the catcher Alex Ripke for a ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Doughton steps off the mound. And the 1-1. Low and outside, ball 2. Throw to first. Not in time to get Ben. And one thing that Lake Stevens has been pretty good at all year is base stealing, so they gotta look at that. The 2-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking. Trey Long shaking it off. As he didn't think that one was a strike. Luke Doughton looking over at first base, getting the sign from Alex Ripke. Shaking off some signs, 2-2, swing and a missed, strike 3. As Luke Doughton gets Trey swinging for the second out. As they'll bring up the starting pitcher, Connor Bardew. He has a team-high .545 batting average, 12 hits and 22 at-bats with a home run and 9 RBIs, and is 5 for 5 in stolen bases. And the first pitch goes low for a ball 1. Defensively for the Kamiak Knights. On the mound is Luke Doughton, and behind the plate is Alex Ripke. On the infield, third base Michael Cooper, shortstop Morgan White. The 1-0, fly ball. This one going into center field. Back goes the center fielder, Andrew Moore, who makes the catch. He goes back, takes a couple of steps, and Pizer will stay back at first base as 2 outs now in the first inning. And he'll bring up the cleanup hitter, first baseman Will Wentz. Will Wentz with a team-high 11 RBIs to go with his .250 batting average. He's been hit 3 times, has scored 4 runs, has hit 4 doubles, and has been walked twice this year. First pitch by Doughton, low for a ball 1. Ripke to throw to second is not in time, as the ball rolls away from the second baseman. Nick Lahman. And Nick Lahman, compared to yesterday, he will not be in the lineup hitting. For the Knights, as Bryce Coate, who was the catcher yesterday, he will be the designated hitter for him. As also A.J. Riley playing first base instead of Grant Gilmore, who was playing there yesterday. And the 1-0, low ball 2, that one rolls away from a split second from the catcher Ripke. And in the outfield, it is Cyrus Venata, Andrew Moore, and Andrew Stupi. As 3 reserves from yesterday, Riley, Ripke, and Stupi are all in the lineup. And Doughton steps off the mound. And the reserves for Lake Stevens, Jacob Gordon, Alec Ibachuan, Tanner Lind, Theron Perkins, he's still in the lineup after getting a knot on his back. He might come back next week for Lake Stevens. The 2-0, inside ball 3. Is Justin Troya, Jacob Wordala, Aaron Lampinen, and Devin McWaters. And the 3-0 by Doughton, low ball 4. And the Vikings have runners on first and second with 2 out. And now bring up the center fielder, Christian LaPierre. As will be a timeout by Kamiak. Ripke, along with the pitching coach for the Kamiak Knights, goes to talk with Doughton on the mound, and it looks like he's looks like he's a little motivated there, talking to both Ripke and Doughton, and they're trying to get out of this inning.
Here we go, ground out. Here we go. Taking it back up the box. Back up the box.
As Christian LaPierre with a 182 batting average, 4 hits and 22 at-bats this year. Has been walked 5 times. He's been hit 4 times and has scored 4 runs this year. And Doughton looking over at second base. First pitch. Line drive ball. This one getting into the hole in right. Ben is running around third, and the throw home cut off by A.J. Riley. It hits the catcher's helmet of Ripke, picked up by Doughton, throws to third, not in time at third base. This is the power of Friday the 13th right here. The ball gets in the right field. It is fielded by Andrew Stupi. He tries to throw home, but he throws it to A.J. Riley, who throws it straight into the catcher's helmet. Of Alex Ripke, and that will advance the runners. Wentz is at third, and LaPierre is at second. It'll be an RBI single as it'll get the second on the error by A.J. Riley, the first baseman. And the game is now tied at 1. Luke Doughton facing off against Hunter Zalesko. First pitch, inside ball 1. And LaPierre getting RBI number 5 on the year, as the Vikings are now threatening with runners in scoring position to take the lead for the first time in this game. And the 1-0. Strike one looking. And Doughton looking over at third and second base. The 1-1. Low for a ball 2. Hunter Zalesko, 6 hits and 26 at-bats for the sophomore shortstop. He has 3 RBIs and is 4 for 4 on stolen bases as well. Has been walked 3 times, has been hit twice, has hit 2 doubles, and has scored 6 runs for the Vikings this year. The 2-1. Strike 2 looking. And Doughton looking over at second, the 2-2. Foul ball. It'll go over the fence, and Hunter Zalesko loses the grip of his metal bat as it flies out of his hands. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
What about it, baby? What about it? Put a ball in play and make it work.
And Doughton ahead on the count with 2 outs. 2-2 pitch. Upstairs, ball 3, full count.
Let's go, Hunter. Come on now. I need your Hey, front now.
And Doughton, the payoff pitch. Foul ball hits above the backstop behind home plate. Still a full count with 2 runners out. Ben Pizer getting on base on a single, then later stealing second. Trey Long then strikes out, and Connor Bardou flies out. Will Wentz walked on 4 pitches. And then an RBI single by Christian LaPierre, and an error moves Will to third and Christian to second. Timeout by Hunter. And then play resumes. The payoff pitch. Doughton looking over at third. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And the Kamiak Knights will end the threat in the bottom of the first inning, as Doughton will get his second strikeout of the afternoon. 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. Lake Stevens tie the game after trailing 1-0. As Connor Bardou will get back onto the mound in the top of the second inning, as he'll face the bottom 3 hitters, first baseman A.J. Riley, catcher Alex Ripke, and the left fielder Cyrus Vanetta, when we come back in the top of the second inning. Game tied at 1 between Lake Stevens and Kamiak. And we are now back into the top of the second inning after trailing 1-0. Lake Stevens ties the game up at 1, as Connor Bardou will get back onto the mound as he'll face off against the first baseman A.J. Riley, who will be playing at first base. For Grant Gilmore, the 0-1 pitch, a fly ball, and it is right near the foul line. And this one will also be dropped by Bryce Mefford as Riley will get the first base on the error. This one right near the first base foul line. It looked like Bryce Mefford was under that one, but the ball got away from him again due to the wind. And Kamiak has their first base runner of the inning on another error. And it'll bring up the catcher, Alex Ripke. So Connor Bardou, he had a rough first inning, 10 balls on 8 strikes for 18 pitches. 1 ball, 1 hit, 1 error, 2 runners left on. First pitch, ball 1, as the catcher, Trey Long, will look over at first base towards Riley. And the 1-0 pitch, outside ball 2, Trey looking at first base. And a timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White going over to talk to Connor Bardou along with Trey Long. And there's 4 reserves for the Kamiak Knights. That is number 13, Jake Davis, Grant Gilmore, who played at first base yesterday, Greg Marshall, who played at right field. No, he played at center field yesterday. No, my mistake. He played at right field yesterday. And number 17, Dante Bowen. And those are the 4 reserves for Kamiak. As Josh White will go back to the dugout. Trey Long going back behind home plate. And Alex Ripke rushing back to home plate after talking with the third base coach for Kamiak. And Kamiak, the game-leading run at first base. Early in this game, the 2-0. Tries bunting for it. Strike. Throw to first. As it looked like A.J. Riley will get into a rundown, but Will Wentz, after catching the throw from Trey, will drop the ball. As it'll be a stolen base for A.J. Riley, and Kamiak has a runner in scoring position. Hunter Zalesko is already in position, and it will be a stolen base for A.J. Riley. And Connor, the 2-1, tries bunting for it. This one hitting the backstop. Throw to third. It is way offline. Riley's going to go home. And Ben Pizer will field the ball. And is not able to throw, and through a couple errors, A.J. Riley scores, and Kamiak has a 2-1 lead. And the throw is right off the backstop. Right on top of the backstop. It was easy for Trey Long to field. He was throwing it to Tate Bruss, but it was way offline to his right and got in the left field. 3-1 pitch, ball 4. As through 2 errors, Kamiak now has the lead once again.
Cheat right now. Cheat
And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Cyrus Venata, the left fielder.
Four.
Connor throw to first, not in time.
Hey.
And Josh White, he has Jacob Wardla and Devin McWaters as the two pitchers that he's aiming to throw in the bullpen. And the infield is in as both first and third base. As both the first and third baseman rush in, and Alex Ripke will get a stolen base. First pitch is strike one looking. Trey not able to throw to second. As Hunter Zalesko, who's the closest to the second base bag, he is not able to get to the bag in time to field the ball. Looking over. Connor looking over at second base. Lake Stevens looking like they're trying something. It is the first baseman, Will Wentz, and the third baseman, Tate Brush. They are both rushing towards home plate, even when the hitter, Cyrus Venata, isn't trying to bunt. And that's what they're doing right here. They're trying to trick Alex Ripke, trying to trick the base runner. As not only they moved forward, but Hunter Zalesko was moving towards third. That one, the ball one. As Josh White looking like he's trying a new strategy there as the Vikings are trying to get ready for later in the season. And Connor looking over at second base. The windup and the 1-1 upstairs, ball two. Before today, Connor, 3 innings, has allowed 5 hits, has walked 4, has allowed 1 earned run, and has struck out 2 batters to 2-1. Tries bunting for it. That is a strike. Throw to second base. It gets over Zalesko, and Ripke will get to third base on the error by Trey Long. It is a 2-2 count. Kamiak with another run at third. As Trey Long was throwing it to Hunter Zalesko, it goes way over his glove and way over his head as it goes into center field. It is fielded by the center fielder, Christian LaPierre. And Alex Ripke, the catcher, will move to third base on the third error this inning for the Lake Stevens Vikings. It is 2 balls and 2 strikes for Wason Venata, the 2-2 upstairs, ball 3. As this is the first time in a while that the rain has really started to pour down here at Lake Stevens. Payoff pitch upstairs, ball 4. And just when Lake Stevens gets their first out, there's now runners on the corners and a run is scored, and it looks like they might take Connor Bardew out of the game, and yes, they will. They're going to take Connor out of the game this early. They're going to bring in Jacob Wardla. We're going to take a quick break here. Kamiak leading Lake Stevens 2-1 in the top of the second inning. No outs, runners on the corners. And we are now back in the top of the second inning. Kamiak, they are leading by the score of 2-1 to Lake Stevens, and they are threatening. They have runners on the corners as the Vikings will bring in a new pitcher in number 10, Jacob Wardla, to face off against the leadoff hitter, Andrew Moore. And the first pitch by Wardla, check swing, outside, ball 1. So far in this inning, A.J. Riley, the first baseman, got on base on an error by the right fielder, Bryce Mefford, his second error of the afternoon. Then he got the second on a stolen base. And then he got the third on an error. He got the third at home on an error by Trey Long, the 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And the 1-1 pitch, foul ball, hitting the fence behind home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jacob Wardla pitching in his 5th game. No wins and no losses with an ERA of 2.69. In 5 2/3 innings, he has allowed 3 hits, walking 1 batter, allowing 2 earned runs, and striking out 3. And Wardla, the 1-2. Ground ball This one going to the second baseman, Braden Miller. He bobbles the baseball and another run will score. It is error number 4 in this inning for Lake Stevens, and the Kamiak Knights have a 3-1 lead. And there are now runners on first and second, with nobody out for the third baseman, Michael Cooper, who've popped out to the first baseman, Will Wentz, back in the first inning.
And now.
And Jacob, the first pitch upstairs, ball 1. And so far, Connor Mardu has thrown 1+ innings, allowing 1 hit. Currently allowing 3 runs. He can allow a maximum of 4, but all of them are going to be unearned. Walking 3, striking out 1. Throw to third to Mardu at third base. And Cyrus Venata is out at third base. It's a stolen base for Andrew Moore. And this time with Connor Mardu at third base taken over for Tate Brust. The Vikings get their first out, and there's a runner at second. There's a strike 1, a nice pitch by Jacob Wardla, and Trey. A nice reaction as he throws to third base and beats Cyrus Venata by a mile. The 1-1 pitch outside, ball 2. And Jacob, the 3-0. Strike 1 looking, or the 2-1. Strike 2 looking, a 2-2 count now. So now Connor Mardu, no earned runs. And all the runners, all the batters that he is responsible for are no longer active either on the base paths or at the plate. And the 2-2 pitch outside, full count 3-2. So it is 1+ innings, allowing 1 hit, allowing 3 unearned runs, walking 3, striking out 1 on 31 pitches. And the payoff pitch by Wardla, and it will walk Cooper. As there are runners on first and second for the number 3 hitter, Luke Doughton, who hit one to right field. And it was fielded and dropped by Bryce Mefford. Looking over at second base. The first pitch by Wardla. Fly ball. This one going in the right. Bryce getting another shot at it. And Bryce Mefford, he will make the catch. And a runner going to third base. And there are runners on the corners. Andrew Moore getting to third. And the first pitch will be flied out to the right fielder, Bryce Mefford. It'll bring up Morgan White, the shortstop. He hit an RBI single back in the first inning.
Hey, another boy. Another boy.
As once again, there are now runners on the corners. With this time 2 outs. First pitch, a line drive shot. This one going in the right field. This will be fielded by Mefford. A run will score and a run will stop at third base. It's another RBI single by the senior shortstop Morgan White. And this will be an unearned run towards Wardla. It's now 4-1 Kamiak. Cooper will go to third, and there are still runners on the corners for the number 5 hitter, Bryce Code, who got on base on a 4-pitch walk. And Wardla, the first pitch, upstairs, ball 1 and outside. Trey looking over at Morgan White at first base. Bryce Code is the catcher. He was 1 for 2 with a single in the second inning. That was walked in the 5th and flew out to the left fielder, Ben Pizer, with runners in the corners in the 6th. The 1-0 pitch, strike one looking. And the 1-1 by Jacob, outside, ball two. And the 2-1. Fly ball. This one's out for a foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jacob ahead on the count. Kamiak, after this game, they're going to play next week on the 17th and 18th, Tuesday and Wednesday on April 17th and April 18th against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, who are currently at Mariner High School right now, or at least that's what we assume if the game's not rained out. The 2-2 pitch. Ball rolls away from Trey Long as Morgan White will get to second base on the wild pitch. Full count, 3-2. As Jacob will face his second full count in this game. The payoff pitch by Wardla. Foul ball. He'll hit the ground and will come right back up and will hit Bryce Coate. They'll face off against Glacier Peak. And then the Jackson Timberwolves, who are supposed to be an upstart team in Wesco, but even though they've been doing pretty good, it's not been up to many people's expectations around Wesco baseball. The payoff pitch low for a ball 4 and another walk. And it'll be bases loaded with 2 outs for the right fielder Andrew Stupi, who struck out swinging on 5 pitches. Josh White back up to the mound. Lake Stevens going through a rough patch here in the second inning as they have allowed 3 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4 errors, and they're going to immediately take out Jacob Wardla for number 18, Jacob Gordon, who pitched yesterday. As we'll take a quick break, it'll be still the top of the second inning. Kamiak now with a 4-1 lead over Lake Stevens, and a new pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings. It was a guy who pitched yesterday, and that was number 18, Jacob Gordon. Take a quick break, 4-1 Kamiak. And we are now back in the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens using their 3rd pitcher already of the afternoon. And the first pitch to the right fielder Andrew Stupi. It's meant to be a suicide squeeze. It is fielded back to the caught barehanded by the on-deck hitter A.J. Riley. No balls and 1 strike. Jacob Gordon, no wins and no losses with an ERA of 0. He threw 2/3 of an inning yesterday, following Justin Troya's incredible performance. Yesterday, 6 1/3, allowing no runs, striking out 5 batters and allowing 3 hits. Next pitch, a foul ball hitting the fence. And currently, Jacob Wardle has thrown 2/3 of an inning, allowing 1 run. The 0-2, outside, ball 1. Andrew Stupi, one of the reserves, and is up to bat once again for the Kamiak Knights. First time around against Jacob Gordon. Jacob Wardle, 2/3 of an inning, currently has allowed 1 hit, 1 unearned run, has walked 2, and has struck out no one in 19 pitches. And the wind-up and the 1-2 by Gordon, ground ball. This one going to the shortstop, Zalesko, who tosses it to second for the fielder's choice. And it will end the top of the second inning, as it'll be 3 runs on 1 hit, 4 errors, and 3 runners left on. Kamiak exploding with a 4-1 lead. Luke Doughton will come back onto the mound as he'll be faced off against the bottom part of the order for the Lake Stevens Vikings in the bottom of the second inning. 4-1 Kamiak. And we are now back in the bottom of the second inning after Kamiak explodes for 3 runs in the top half of the inning to take a 4-1 lead. The Vikings, they are eager to come back, and they are starting with their starting right fielder, Bryce Mefford. First pitch low for a ball 1. Bryce Mefford will be playing in the lineup for right field over Tanner Lind, who will be a reserve for today's game. Currently 1 for 10 with his only hit being a double early in the season in non-conference play. The 1-0 pitch inside for a ball 2. And Luke Doughton, the windup, the 2-0. Strike 1 looking. And Luke Doughton, he didn't have a pretty bad first inning. 13 balls on 12 strikes for 25 pitches. One run, 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on in the first inning. And in general, the 2-1 check swing. Did he go? He did not go. Ball 3. As Bryce is ahead of the count. And the 3-1, the windup. It'll be a slow grounder along the first base side. And this one will be fielded by the pitcher, Doughton, who throws to the first baseman, A.J. Riley, just in time to get Bryce over at first base for the first out of the second inning. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter. But it's supposed to be Tate Bruss, but instead will be number 18, Jacob Gordon. Who will be pinch hitting for the second time this season. First pitch, strike 1 looking.
There we go.
And the 0-1 swing and a missed strike 2. Luke Doughton, the new Kamiak number 2 pitcher, as he is one of 3 players in return from last year's 7-13 Kamiak squad that barely missed the playoffs. And the 0-2 swing and a missed strike 3. Strikeout number 3 for Luke Doughton in this game. It'll bring up the 9 hitter, Braden Miller. And Doughton, the windup in the first pitch. Strike 1 looking. And the 0-1 pitch. This one going above the strike zone for a ball 1. Lake Stevens, they'll be starting next week against Mount Vernon. They're going to play 4 games next week. 2 games against Mount Vernon, 1 against Monroe, and 1 against Central Kitsap. The 1-1 pitch. Low for a ball 2. Central Kitsap. That was a game that was supposed to be played back on March 24th, but due to early snow, that game was moved and will be moved to April 21st here at Lake Stevens High School. And the 2-1 by Doughton. Check swing, strike 2 looking. And Luke ahead of the count. We'll try to close out the second inning. And he'll step off the mound. Timeout by Braden. Lake Stevens going into this game 4 wins and 5 losses, a 3-2 conference record, riding on a 3-game win streak, while Kamiak is riding on a 3-game losing streak coming into this game. And the windup by Doughton, the 2-2. Check swing, ball 3, full count. And the windup and the payoff pitch. A check swing, ground ball. This one fielded by A.J. Riley, who tosses it to the pitcher, Luke Doughton, and will end the second inning. No outs, no hits, or no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on, highlighted by a strikeout by Doughton to Jacob Gordon, and a couple ground outs to the pitcher. So that involved the pitcher. It'll be the end of the second inning. That's still 4-1 Kamiak over Lake Stevens. Jacob Gordon coming back up on the mound, facing the bottom three hitters of A.J. Riley, Alex Ripke, and Cyrus Venata in the top of the third inning. 4-1 Kamiak over Lake Stevens. And we are now back. We are going to the top of the third inning. Kamiak with a 4-1 lead over the Lake Stevens Vikings. Jacob Gordon back on the mound as he'll face off against A.J. Riley, who got on base on an 0-1 pitch. A fly ball to the right fielder, Bryce Mefford, that was misplayed right near the first base foul line. That got him on first, and he later scored. First pitch, a ground ball. This one fielded backhand by Zalesko, who throws to first and is in time to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, for the first out of the third inning. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Alex Ripke, who got on base on a 5-pitch walk, stole second, and got the third on an error by Trey Long. First pitch low for a ball 1. Jacob Gordon, he threw only 4 pitches, 1 ball and 3 strikes. While Jacob Bordelot threw 19 pitches, and Connor Bardew. Next pitch goes for a ball 2 outside. Threw 13 pitches in that second inning. Is compiled for 3 runs on 1 hit, 4 errors, and 3 runs left on. The 2-1, strike 1 looking. For a total of 4 runs on 2 hits, 5 errors for Lake Stevens so far through 2 innings, and 5 runners left on. And the 2-1 pitch, hard hit ball, this one going on the center field. Back goes Pizer and LaPierre. That will get past him into the gap in left center field. Ripke's going to go to second base. It'll be a 1-out double for the catcher, Alex Ripke. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, left fielder Cyrus Venata. He got on base on a full count walk back in the second inning, and that was it for Connor Bardew. The leader got out trying to steal third base. With Michael Cooper at the plate. And that was the first out of the second inning. And Jacob Gordon, the first pitch. Outside, ball 1. And for Wesco baseball, this is going to be a really tough week. This will depend on whether who's going to stay in the standings and who's going to go in the playoffs will be played next week. The 1-0 pitch outside for a ball 2. All the Wesco 4A teams are going to be playing 3 games, which means that coaches are going to have to pick who's going to be their pitcher, who's going to pitch what game. But especially for Lake Stevens, because they have to play 4 games. The 2-0 pitch inside, strike 1. Inside fastball by Gordon to Venata. And the coaches, especially for Josh White, he has a challenge of trying to get who's going to pitch for 4 games next week. The 2-1, ball 3 going outside. Now the route that he can go, which can be that he can have whoever's pitching on Tuesday and Wednesday limit their pitches, and they can have them on Saturday, but Saturday is a non-conference game, so that puts them in a little bit of a spot here because it doesn't really matter. The 3-1 pitch, strike 2 looking for a full count, 3-2. And Jacob Gordon looking over at second base to pay off pitch. Line drive ball. This one going into the glove of Braden Miller, who throws the first and is in time for the second out of the third inning. And it'll go back to the top of the order for the third time around. It'll be center fielder Andrew Moore, who was 0 for 1 with a stolen base and a run scored.
Field your position. Field your position.
And Gordon, the first pitch, outside ball 1, trying the curveball. Other games that are going on right now, Cascade currently traveling over to Mill Creek to play Jackson. Glacier Peak playing at Mariner. And Mount Vernon playing at Monroe, but we don't know if those games are actually going to play. And the 1-0 pitch, strike one looking. As far as the eye can see, nothing but gray clouds. It's even covering up Mount Pilchuck, which towers over the batting cages in left field. And the 1-1 by Gordon. Foul ball, this one going over the fence behind home plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. As Jacob Gordon with a chance to end the inning here. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. And he got Andrew Moore swinging. Kamiak still with a 4-1 lead, but Lake Stevens, they look pretty comfortable there in that top of the 3rd inning. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The first scoreless inning for Kamiak, as we'll now go into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Luke Doughton coming back on the mound for Kamiak as he'll face off against the top 3 batters, Ben Pizer, Trey Long, and Connor Bardou for the 2nd time around in the bottom of the 3rd inning. 4-1, Kamiak over Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Kamiak still with a 4-1 lead over Lake Stevens. Luke Doughton back on the mound. Looked pretty good in the 2nd inning, but will now have to face the top of the order for the 2nd time around in the bottom of the 3rd inning, which is the area. It was that in the middle of the order that gave him grief. And now the Vikings, they are relentless as they'll try to get some runs on the board. First pitch low for a ball 1. Ben Pizer got on base on a 3-1 pitch. On a 3-1 count, he had a single, got a stolen base to second, and later scored the only run for Lake Stevens to 1-0. A short chopper, this one fielded by Doughton, who throws the first in time for the first out in the 3rd inning. And it'll be the 3rd put out for the pitcher, as he got a couple back in the 2nd inning. Brings back the number 2 hitter, Trey Long, who struck out swinging on 5 pitches. First pitch, a hard hit ball. This one going in the left field. Back goes Venata. He can't field it. And Trey Long has himself a 1-out single to start off the 3rd inning. Venata going to his right as the ball landed right next to the left field line, but Trey is only limited to a single as Lake Stevens has their first base runner on since the 1st inning. Brings up the number 3 hitter, Connor Bardou, who hit a 1-0 pitch to the center fielder, Andrew Moore. And Doughton stepping off the mound for a second. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. The catcher, Alex Ripke, looking over at first base towards Trey.
Here we go. Right here, Marty. Right here. Let's go, Marty.
And Doughton getting the sign from Ripke, the 1-0, strike 1 looking.
Let's go, Battle Cat. Here we go, Stud.
And Doughton in that 2nd inning, in that 1-2-3 inning, he threw for 6 balls, 8 strikes, and for 14 pitches, the 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. For a total of 19 balls, 20 strikes, and 39 pitches for no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. And the 1-2 pitch, fly ball, that one staying. This one going in the short right field, fielded by the right fielder, Andrew Stupi, who comes in all the way from right field to make the catch. He calls for it and pushes away the second baseman, Nick Lahman, and will get the 2nd out of the 3rd inning. Brings up the cleanup hitter, Will Wentz, who got on base on a 4-pitch walk his last time up back in the 1st inning.
Hey, let's go, Will!
And Will Wentz, it was the third time this year that he's been walked, and compared to other batters, it's not that much. Trey Long, he's been walked a team high 10 times. First pitch, a golf shot. This one landing in the left field, and this one fielded by the left fielder Cyrus Venata, and the Vikings have runners on first and second with 2 out. And it'll bring up Christian LaPierre. He hit an RBI single on the first pitch he saw back in the first inning that scored Ben from second. It gave him his 5th RBI in the year. Now he has a chance to knock in some more runs on the board for the senior center fielder. Luke Doughton looking over at second. First pitch he sees, strike one looking.
Here we go, hunt out.
And Doughton the 0-1. Low, ball one outside. As the game-tying run is at home plate. And Christian LaPierre has been walked 5 times. He has scored 5 runs and has been hit 4 times and got his 5th hit of the year earlier in the first inning. The 1-1, outside ball 2. And Bryce looking over at second, the 2-1 pitch. Check swing, strike 2 looking. As Luke is now ahead of the count. Luke getting a couple of signs from Alex Ripke, now turning his head towards the third baseman. Michael Cooper, 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ripke. He is not able to throw. Ripke is looking over at first and sees that all the runners advanced. And now here's Kevin Agnew, the Kamiak manager, who's saying that was the 3rd strike that he went. But the home plate umpire says that Ripke, the catcher, didn't field the ball cleanly and is now bases loaded. And they are going to stick with the call. As Ripke was looking to throw to first, he saw that Trey was moving to third and Will was moving to second. It'll be a strikeout towards Luke Doughton. It'll be his 4th strikeout. But normally when it comes to a guy who struck out and goes to first, that means that there would have been an errant throw to first, but there wasn't. And so there's going to be no error. It's just going to be a strikeout as Hunter Zalesko will come to the plate. First pitch, low, ball 1. And so it's now bases loaded, and I think that call, if possible, might change the whole outlook of this game right here. So Trey Long is at third, Will Wentz is at second, Christian LaPierre at first, the 1-0. Strike 1 looking.
You, baby!
And Doughton, the 1-1. Fly ball, that looks like it'll be in fair territory, and that barely gets foul. As it lands right next to the Lake Stevens dugout in foul territory for a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Luke Doughton now ahead of the count. As now Tanner Lind will pinch hit for Bryce Mefford at right. It looks like he'll be the new left fielder now. He had a pretty good game yesterday. He was 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. And a timeout by Hunter. And Luke, the 1-2. Line drive ball. This one getting into the hole in left field. Dre's going to score. Will's riding around third. The throw to home. The throw to home is not in time, and Christian will get the third. It's a 2-out, 2-run double by Hunter Zalesko, and Kamiak leads 4-3. And you can definitely tell that strike 3 call in the last at-bat was a huge factor into that. It'll be RBIs number 4 and 5 on the year for Hunter. Timeout by Kamiak, Luke Doughton, and Alex Ripke talking to the Kevin Agnew, the manager for Kamiak, is not Bryce Medford, but Tanner Lind. Who was the starting right fielder yesterday. He will hit for Bryce Medford. As Lake Stevens makes this a 1-run game, as the Vikings, they have the game-tying run at third base in Christian and the game-leading run at second base in Hunter. First pitch to Tanner, strike 1 looking. In yesterday's game, Tanner Lind, he had a 2-out bloop single to right field in the 4th inning. That scored 2 runs and gave the Vikings an early 2-0 lead. The 0-1 pitch, strike 2 looking. And Luke ahead of the count on Tanner, the 0-2. Outside, ball 1. Luke still with a chance to end the inning here with 2 outs. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3, and that will end the 3rd inning. But not without some damage from the Lake Stevens Vikings. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Kamiak now leads by the score of 4-3 after 3 innings. Jacob Gordon coming back up on the mound. For the Vikings in the top of the 4th, and he'll face off against Michael Cooper, Luke Doughton, and Morgan White as Kamiak tries to extend their 1-run lead in the top of the 4th inning. And we are now back into the top of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens trailing the Kamiak Knights by a score of 4-3 after the Vikings scored 2 on a 2-out, 2-run double by Hunter Zalesko, and Jacob Gordon will face off against the number 2 hitter, the 3rd baseman Michael Cooper, who is 0 for 1 with a full count walk back in the 2nd inning. First pitch by Gordon. Strike 1 looking on the first pitch. Or no, the Kamiak Knights are riding on a 4-game losing streak, not a 3-game losing streak. Next pitch, ball 1. Be a 1-hopper to Cooper. And the 1-1 by Gordon. Hard hit ball, this one going in the left field, and it will fall right in front of the left fielder, Ben Pizer, as Kamiak gets a leadoff single. Here in the top of the 4th, brings up the number 3 hitter, the starting pitcher, Luke Doughton, who is 0 for 1 with a run scored. First pitch from Gordon, outside, ball 1. Throw to first, not in time to get Michael Cooper. So the Lake Stevens Vikings will be playing against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, and their 2 starting pitchers who both returned who are both returning from last year's Wesco regular season champion team, Ryan Morrill and Riley Olmstead. Next pitch outside, ball 2. Riley Olmstead, who's been on the varsity team, has been starting in pitching since he was a freshman, and has been excelling at that since he got there. He did pretty good his sophomore season as he pitched a couple of games against Lake Stevens last year. The 2-0 pitch outside, ball 3. And Riley Olmstead, he was pitching against the Vikings at home in the Wesco semifinals, where the Vikings beat the Bulldogs by the score of 5-4 en route to a Wesco championship. And most certainly will face the Vikings in the first game of the series. And the 3-0 outside, ball 4. And Kamiak has runners on first and second with nobody out. And a timeout by Josh White as he goes onto the mound along with Trey Long. Keep in mind that Josh White also has Devin McWaters scheduled to pitch if anything goes wrong, and it looks like that's what might happen later in the game. As currently they're talking, it's Morgan White, who is 2 for 2 with 2 RBI singles in the first inning and in the second inning. That will come up to the plate. Also in right field, Tanner Lynn playing for Bryce Mefford. And Morgan White, he also had a pretty good pitching performance yesterday as he threw 6 1/3, allowing 4 hits, striking out 13 batters, but unfortunately he got the loss in that game. First pitch by Jacob. Strike 1 looking to Morgan. And Jacob the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. He tricked Morgan with the slow curveball. No balls and 2 strikes. Already Jacob ahead on the count and has a chance to get the first out of the 4th. As compared to yesterday, of where Kamiak could barely get anything off of Justin Troya until the 5th or 6th inning, Kamiak's already getting off on him. Yeah, timeout by Morgan. And Jacob Gordon getting the sign from Trey Long, looking over at second base. The windup and the 0-2 pitch. And it'll be a ball 1. It'll be a nice stop by the catcher Trey Long to make sure the runners do not advance, as Michael Cooper will stay at second and Luke Doughton stays at first. And Jacob looking over at second. The 1-2 pitch. Outside, ball 2. As Jacob Gordon, last inning, 6 pitches, 6 balls, 9 strikes for a total of 15 pitches. For a total of 7 balls of 12 strikes and 19 pitches for him. With no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on for a total of 4 runs on 3 hits, 5 errors, and 6 runners left on. And the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. As Gordon tricks Morgan again with the curveball. It is the second strikeout for Jacob Gordon. As it'll be the first out of the 4th inning, brings up Bryce Coate, who's been walked twice. It'll be a timeout by Lake Stevens. And Josh White immediately taking out Jacob Gordon and bringing in the 4th pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, and that is number 20, Devin McWaters. We'll take a quick break here, top of the 4th inning. Runners on first and second with 1 runner out. Kamiak 4, Lake Stevens 3. As Devin McWaters will come to the mound in the top of the 4th inning. And we are now back into the top of the fourth inning. Lake Stevens trailing Kamiak 4-3 as the Knights are threatening to get some more runs on the board. They have runners on first and second with one out for the new pitcher, Devin McWaters, facing off against Bryce Coate. First pitch of ball one. Devin McWaters currently no wins and 3 losses. He has 3 of the 5 Lake Stevens losses with an ERA of 1.35. In 5 2/3 innings, he has allowed 8 hits, walking 2, allowing 1 earned run while striking out 3. 1-0 pitch outside, ball 2. Bryce Coate has been walked twice. He was walked in the first inning and then got out on a fielder's choice in the second inning to end the top half of the second inning. The 2-0 upstairs, ball 3. Jacob Gordon currently an inning and 2/3, allowing 2 hits. He is responsible for Cooper at second and Doughton at first with no walks and 2 strikeouts on 30 pitches. Will Wentz now playing behind the bag, 3-1, strike 1 looking. And Devin McWaters, don't let the 0-3 record fool you, because he has been a really, really reliable closer and relief pitcher in the later innings of the game. 3-1 pitch, ball 4. Bases loaded with 1 out for Andrew Stupi, the right fielder. As Bryce Coate has no official at-bat. Through 3 at-bats, he has been walked 3 times. As now the right fielder, Andrew Stupi, will come to the plate. He is 0 for 2 with a strikeout swinging in the first and a fielder's choice in the second inning. And the first pitch by Devin. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
Like that, Devin, repeat. Repeat it. Do it once more.
And Devin McWaters, the 0-1, tries butting for it. That one goes over the fence. Brings the count down to no balls and 2 strikes, as Devin is ahead on the count. Struck out 3 batters, and they were all with runners on.
Hey, big one, we go. Lock it up, we go.
As Lake Stevens has a shot to get out of this inning with no runs on 1 pitch. The 0-2. This will be a slow roller. This one going in the first. Tosses it to the second baseman, Braden Miller. Runner is out. Run will score. Kamiak is up 4-3 or 5-3. On an RBI ground out by Andrew Stupi. It'll advance the runners. Michael Cooper will score from third, and the runners will advance. It will get the second out, though, as the first baseman, A.J. Riley, will come to the plate for the 3rd time around. He got on base on an error by Bryce Mefford back in second and grounded out to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, in the 3rd. First pitch inside, ball 1. And that ball gets away from Trey Long. The score now, Kamiak 5, Lake Stevens 3. And Devin, the 1-0. And going outside. They're going inside and upstairs for a ball 2. And Cascade and Jackson, that game, it's either Cascade or Jackson or Monroe and Mount Vernon that's expected to be really good. 2-0 count, low for a ball 3. And Devin, the 3-0. Inside, ball 4, and once again his bases loaded. This one going for the catcher, Alex Ripke, who hit a 1-out double back in the 3rd inning, but was later stranded at second base. And the first pitch by Devin, strike 1 looking to Alex Ripke. He was walked back in the 2nd inning and scored a run. Now he's hit a double in the third. And my mistake if I said he was stranded at second. He was actually stranded at third. The roller, a slow roller to the pitcher, Devin McWaters, who tosses it to first and will end the inning. 1 run on 1 hit. No errors and 3 runners left on. It'll give Jacob Gordon an earned run, and Kamiak is now up by the score of 5-3 as we go into the bottom of the 4th inning. Luke Doden will come back onto the mound. As he'll face off against the 8-9-1 hitters of Jacob Gordon, or what is presumed to be Jacob Gordon. Might be Devin McWaters now. Braden Miller and Ben Pizer as the Vikings try to get their first lead of the game. They're down by 2 as Luke Doughton will come back to the mound for his 4th inning of work. And we are now back in the bottom of the 4th inning. Kamiak gets another run on the board to take a 5-3 lead. And Luke Doughton is back on the mound to try and preserve that lead as he faces off against a new hitter, number 20, Devin McWaters. Making his first at-bat of the varsity season. First pitch by Luke Doughton. Tries bunting for it, strike 1 looking. And Luke the 0-1. Strike 2 looking. And Luke didn't have a pretty bad 3rd inning, even though he allowed 2 runs. 6 balls and 15 strikes for 21 pitches for a total of 25 balls, 35 strikes, and 60 pitches through 3 innings, allowing 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Timeout by Devin for a total of 3 runs, 5 hits, 1 error, and 4 runners left on. And the 0-2 pitch upstairs outside, ball 1. And the Lake Stevens Vikings playing against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. The first game will be on April 17th here at Lake Stevens High School. And then the next game will be on April 18th on the road. And the 1-2 swing and a miss, strike 3. Luke Doughton getting Devin McWaters to swing for a strike 3, as it'll be strikeout number 6 for Doughton. As we'll bring in the number 9 hitter, Braden Miller, who grounded out to the first baseman, A.J. Riley. And the first pitch by Doughton, inside, ball 1.
Here we go.
And the next one, number 10, Bryce Coate, warming up in the bullpen. Next, if anything, why did I say that part? The 1-0. Whoa, under the strike zone, ball 2. And Braden, the 2-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Ben Pizer, the leadoff hitter, is on deck. 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. And the 2-1 by Luke. Low, ball 3. Braden ahead on the count with 1 out. The 3-1, the windup. Strike 2 looking, a full count, 3-2. And the strikeout to McWaters was Doughton's 6th strikeout of the afternoon. As Kamiak has been known for their pitching for the past few years. Payoff pitch, line drive ball. This one landing in the gap in left center. Braden looking to go to second base, and he will. Braden Miller is going to stand up safely. He's going to walk safely to second base on a 1-out double. And the Vikings will bring the game-tying run to the plate, and Ben Pizer. And Ben, again, he is 1 for 2. He hit the leadoff single in the bottom of the first inning and scored his 12th run of the year and got his 3rd stolen base. And in the 3rd inning, he grounded out to the pitcher.
It's game time.
And Luke Doughton looking over at Braden at second. First pitch, outside, ball 1. It'll be Mount Vernon. And then they're going to play against a Monroe team that has been way better than what they were last year, even though they lost their star shortstop who went over to Everett Community College via the guest. The players, the underclassmen from last year, stepped up. And the 1-0 pitch outside for a ball 2, but before the pitch is thrown, the home plate of the infield umpire calls a balk on Doughton. And Braden will get the 3rd timeout by Kamiak as Bryce Coate, the 3rd one of 3 Kamiak veterans, along with Doughton and Morgan White, is currently warming up in the bullpen. It is still 1 ball and no strike. It was a dead ball as Braden will now go to 3rd base. And you can bet that the rain, even though there's barely any coming down, you know that has to be affected. That and the Lake Stevens dugout, which has been loud all game. And the 1-0 pitch outside. This is around the same spot as the last pitch that was called for a balk. Going for a ball 2. As it goes for a 2-0 count. And the 2-0 pitch, foul ball, hits the fence above the backstop. 2 balls, 1 strike. And Doughton currently sitting on 73 pitches, 13 pitches in this inning, in his 3rd batter. And timeout by Ben as Luke steps off the mound. Lake Stevens, yesterday they were wearing their road black uniforms here at Lake Stevens High School. Today they're wearing their home whites. While Kamiak's been wearing their purple jerseys and gray pants through both games. The 2-1, ground ball, infield is in, goes to the shortstop Morgan White, who throws to first to get Sam out. For the 2nd out of the 4th inning, it brings up Trey Long. 1 for 2 with a strikeout and a single that scored a run. As Trey now represents the game-tying run. Infield is not in, as they all went backwards. First pitch, low for a ball 1, a 1-hopper. Fielded by the catcher, Alex Ripke. As Luke Doughton, he's having a little trouble trying to get on the mound as the Lake Stevens coaches had to keep it dry in between innings. 1-0, strike 1 looking. And Luke, the 1-1 pitch, upstairs, ball 2. Timeout by Kamiak. Ripke going to talk to Doughton as they are halfway between the mound and home plate. They're walking towards the mound now. As Luke Doughton now sitting at 77 pitches through 3 2/3. Doughton getting the sign from Ripke. Infield is in. Looks like there's a little bit of a shift at second base for Kamiak. The 2-1. Low for a ball 3. There's once again a bobbled ball fielded by the catcher.
700 feet or nothing, baby.
As Trey is now ahead of the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. And timeout by Trey. Try and get Luke off his game here. He's stepping off the mound. And Luke looking over at third. The 3-1. And a foul chopper. This one going towards the Kamiak dugout. Now a full count 3-2. And this next pitch could decide the inning and could decide how this game's going to go forward after the 4th inning. Full count 3-2 with 2 outs. Runners on third. Trey Long at the plate. Lake Stevens trailing by 2. The payoff pitch. Inside, ball 4. Trey Long getting the first base. And there are runners on the corners. And Trey is representing the game-tying run at first base for Connor Bardou, who was 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts. And Luke Doughton is having a little trouble with the pitch count. Pitches per inning, 25 in the first, 14 in the second, 21 in the third. First pitch to Connor. One hopper, gets past the catcher, Ripke, tosses it to home plate. And does he get Braden? Yes, he did. Braden tried to avoid the tag to Doughton, but the inning will end. And Kamiak gets out unscathed in the bottom of the 4th. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on at the end of the 4th. As Lake Stevens still trails to Kamiak Knights by a score of 5-3. As the Vikings, Devin McWaters coming back onto the mound as we go into the top of the 5th. It'll be a 9-1-2 of Venata, Moore, and Cooper as Kamiak still has a 2-run lead. And we are now back into the top of the 5th inning. Kamiak still with a 5-3 lead over Lake Stevens. Devin McWaters back on the mound as he'll face off against the left fielder Cyrus Venata, who is 0 for 1. First pitch, low for a ball 1.
Hey, I like the adjustment. That's all right.
And Devin McWaters, since he got on in replacement for Jacob Gordon, he's pretty solid. 14 pitches, 1-0, 1 hopper to Trey Long, ball 2. 8 balls for 6 strikes and 14 pitches total. And in that inning total, it was 1 run for 1 hit, no errors, and 3 runners left on for a total of 5 runs, 4 hits, 5 errors, and 9 runners left on. The 2-0 pitch inside ball 3. And the 3-0 by Devin, low 1 hopper, ball 1, or ball 4. As Cyrus Venata will once again get on base, as he'll get on base for the second time this afternoon. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White going onto the mound. They're bringing in yet another pitcher. And it'll be number 13, Alec Ibachuan, pitching in his 3rd game. As we'll take a quick break here, top of the 5th inning. Nobody out and a runner on first base. Kamiak leading by 2 runs. Alec Ibachuan, the new pitcher for the Vikings. And we are now back. We are going into the top of the 5th inning. Kamiak still leading Lake Stevens by a score of 5-3. And Lake Stevens using its season-leading 5th pitcher of the game as Alec Ibachuan will come to the mound. First pitch to the leadoff hitter, Andrew Moore. Ball 1 down low. Alec Ibachuan pitching in his 3rd game. He has no wins and no losses with an ERA of 0. The 1-0, low for a ball 2. In 3 innings, he has allowed 2 hits, has allowed no earned runs, has walked 4, and has struck out 1 batter. The 2-1, runner goes. Trey, throw to second, not in time. It's offline, and Cyrus Venata has himself a stolen base. be a strike one looking. And Alec looking over at second base to 2-1. Foul ball hitting the fence. And we'll go over the fence, so it'll be a strike two. And the 2-2 by Ibachuan. Strike, no strike. It'll be a ball three. It'll be a full count 3-2. And the payoff pitch by Ibachuan, fly ball, that's out foul. And Devin McWaters has thrown 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, currently no earned runs. He has walked 3 batters and has struck out no one in 18 pitches. The payoff pitch, upstairs, ball 4. That'll be the 9th walk by Lake Stevens pitching this afternoon. Runners on first and second with nobody out for Michael Cooper. Alec going for the first time around against Cooper. And the first pitch, he'll try bunting for it. Will Wentz, the first baseman, running all the way towards home plate while Braden Miller was running towards first. It'll be an 0-1 count. And the 0-1 tries bunting for it. This one will go foul along the third base line, fielded by the third baseman Connor Bardu. No balls, 2 strikes. There's still a little bit of rain coming down. There's still clouds as far as the eye can see here in the top of the 5th inning. The 0-2 pitch inside. Ball 1. As Trey Long will try and throw to second base and will try to throw to third base. And we'll get in and out of the glove of the third baseman Connor Bardu, but the third baseman, sorry, not the third baseman, the runner Cyrus Venata will not go towards home plate, as it'll be a 1-2 count with runners on second and third. And Ibachuan, the 1-2 pitch. And a nice snag by the catcher Trey Long as that one goes to the side. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the 2-2 pitch. Ball 3 outside. As at this point, you got to think that the pitchers are affected by the weather, especially the Lake Stevens pitchers, because they have been out there for a while, especially with the Vikings at their 5th pitcher. The payoff pitch, a fly ball. That's looks like that's around, and it will fall right around the home plate area, and it is caught by the catcher Trey Long, a pop fly for the first out. Still runners on second and third. This one goes for the pitcher Luke Doughton, who does not have a base hit. He is 0 for 1 with a run scored and a walk. And Ibachuan the first pitch, ball 1 upstairs. And the 1-0. Strike 1 looking. As Trey Long tries throwing back to the pitcher Ibachuan, the ball gets away from him, but is quickly fielded by the shortstop Hunter Zalesko. It is the runners stay, 1 ball, 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch. Strike two looking. And Alec the 1-2. Line drive ball. This one getting into the glove of Zalesko. The nice backhanded snag. And he'll make the catch for the second out. It'll be an RBI ground out for Luke Doden. As Kamiak gets another run on the board, it's now 6-3. As that will be the only run. That was the only batter that Devin McWaters faced in the fifth. And the first pitch to Morgan White, a ball one. And Alec the 1-0. Outside, ball two. And Alec the 2-0 pitch. Foul ball hits the fence. 2-1 count. And Alec the 2-1 pitch. It goes for ball three. That one outside. 3 balls and 1 strike. And Alec the 3-1 pitch. Goes low for a ball 4 as Kamiak will have runners on the corners with 2 out. As Kamiak, for the 4th time around, will bring in designated hitter Bryce Coate, who has walked on all 3 at-bats. And the first pitch by Alec, outside ball 1. And Morgan White will get to second base on the wild pitch.
Get a dry one.
As Kamiak going through another long inning. They had a 9-batter inning in the second inning. They had a 7-batter inning in the fourth. And even though it doesn't feel like much, they have a 5-batter inning here in this inning. The 1-0. A foul tip as Morgan tried to get the third. He was halfway between second and third base. Had a pretty good lead before the foul tip. And Alec, the 1-1. Outside, ball 2. And Alec, the 2-1. Line drive ball. This one getting into the glove of Connor Bardu. The throw to first is in time. And a web gem on the hot corner by Connor Bardu to end the top of the 5th. An amazing play by Connor to end the inning. It is 1 run on no hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Kamiak now doubling their lead against Lake Stevens. They lead 6-3. As we go into the bottom of the 5th inning, it'll be Luke Doughton, who has thrown 81 pitches through 4 innings. He'll come back onto the mound, facing the 3, 4, and 5 hitters of Connor, Will, and Christian. As Lake Stevens is trailing Kamiak now 6-3. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Luke Doughton on the mound as he'll face off against Connor Bardu, the number 3 hitter who is 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts. And the first pitch to Doughton. Line drive ball. This one getting past the glove of the second baseman, Nick Lahman. And Connor Bardu gets on base with a leadoff single. The Vikings trying to get things going here in the bottom of the 5th. As now Will Wentz will come to the plate. He had a single in the 3rd inning. and was one of 2 runs that scored in that inning and was walked on 4 pitches back in the first. And Luke Doughton, after allowing the 1-out double to Braden Millery, it was a pretty rough inning. 11 balls, 10 strikes, and 21 pitches. First pitch, foul tip, foul ball, hitting the fence behind home plate. 0-1 count. There's a total of 36 balls, 45 strikes, and 81 pitches. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on, with allowing him for 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, and 5 runners left on. Next pitch, a foul ball hitting the dugout. Sorry if there was like a pause there. It was something came off. Well, I apologize if there was a pause. No balls and 2 strikes. Runner on first base, Luke Doughton. Approaching the mid-80s in his pitch count, the 0-2. Inside ball 1. Yeah, timeout by Kamiak again. With Ripke talking to Doughton. It'll be Mount Vernon and Monroe, 2 key opponents in the race to get as high as they can in the Wesco seeding so they can get a good shot at the Wesco playoffs in early May. And then it'll be against Glacier Peak, a team that is also rebuilding from a really good season last year. Throw to first, not in time to get Connor. In the past few games, Connor Bardu has gone from no stolen bases to a team-high 5 stolen bases. There are 2 players with 4 stolen bases. That's Christian LaPierre and Hunter Zalesko. Ben Pizer is 2 for 2 in stolen bases. Braden Miller 1 for 1. Bryce Mefford 0 for 1. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a missed strike 3 as strikeout number 7 for Luke Doughton, and that brings up the first out. There is Christian LaPierre, who was 1 for 2 with an RBI single back in the first inning. And the first pitch by Doughton. It'll be a 1-hopper. This one getting away from the catcher Ripke, and Connor Bardu getting the second on the wild pitch. And now the Vikings have another run in scoring position. And Connor Bardu, after sliding the second, calls time and steps off the bag, takes his helmet off, and stretches a little bit. And gets back in position. And this next pitch, a fly ball, that gets past the glove of Rahman. Bardu rounding around third. Christian LaPierre is going to go to second base, and the throw to home is not in time. It'll be an RBI double for Christian LaPierre, his second RBI of the night. Or afternoon, if you could say. It is now 6-4 Kamiak. And a timeout by the Knights. As Ripke once again goes to the mound. Lake Stevens looking like they have a little rhythm here in the 5th inning as Hunter Zalesko comes to the plate. You got a 2-run double back in the 3rd. As Hunter Zalesko has been the Lake Stevens Vikings secret weapon all year. Timeout by Kamiak, Kevin Agnew, the manager, going on to the mound. They don't have Bryce Coate warming up in the bullpen, which probably means either one of 2 things. Either 1, he's not ready, or 2, he is ready, and he is just waiting for the signal from Kevin Agnew. We'll take a quick break here. Bottom of the 5th inning is now Kamiak 6, Lake Stevens 4. Through 4 1/3. Take a quick break. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens threatening. They are down by 2. Hunter Zalesko representing the game-tying run at home plate. First pitch, tries to bunt for it, but it'll go past the catcher foul for an 0-1 count. Christian LaPierre hit an RBI double. In the last at-bat, it was RBI number 6 on the year for him. And that brought in Bardou for his team-leading 14th run. The 0-1. Low for a ball, 1, and it gets past the catcher, Ripke. LaPierre's sprinting towards third base on a wild pitch and got him for ball 1. As the umpire gives Alex Ripke a new ball. He'll call timeout again. It'll be the sophomore getting his third double of the year earlier in this game, back in the third inning. And is now sitting on a 1-1 count. And Bryce Coate once again sits on the steps off the mound as Hunter calls a timeout. And Doden, Lake Stevens is getting into his head. The hitters at this point know what's going to happen is getting into his head. The 1-1 pitch, low and outside for a ball 2. And the 2-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking. Luke ahead of the count, 2-2 pitch. Ball 3 and a nice snag by the catcher, Alex Ripke. That will keep Christian at third base, as he is now facing a full count, 3-2. Looks like the rain has died down a little bit. So I don't know if it's going to affect the game in the near future. Payoff pitch. Low for a ball 4. Lake Stevens with runners on the corners with 1 out. And the game-tying run is at first base, and Hunter Zalesko. Timeout by Kamiak, and they are going to take him out. They are going to take out Luke Doughton. They're going to put in Bryce Coate here in the bottom of the 5th inning for Tanner Lind, who will once again come to the plate. We'll take a quick break. Bottom of the 5th inning. Kamiak 6, Lake Stevens 4, runners on the corners with 1 out. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Kamiak bringing in their first relief pitcher of the afternoon. That is number 10, Bryce Coate, who's coming in as the designated hitter. He'll be facing off against Tanner Lind as he'll come to the plate for the second time around in this game. First pitch by Bryce. Tries bunting for it. Pop fly. Just like yesterday, it is caught by the catcher, Alex Ripke, for the second out. Very similar to what happened yesterday. It was the third out. Tanner tried getting the... As Tanner tried to advance the base runners back in the second inning with a bunt, but instead it goes up in the air and was caught by then Bryce Coate, who was the catcher yesterday. This time it'll be caught by Alex Ripke as he'll bring up Tate Brust, who was the original starter in the lineup. First pitch of ball 1. And Bryce Coate, last season, he pitched in 6 games, starting in 2 of them. And he went 0-1 with an ERA of 7.41, 17 innings, 14 hits, 18 earned runs, 11 walks. This one a fly ball. This one going in the shallow center field. This one caught by the center fielder, Andrew Moore, for the third out. And Kamiak gets out of the threat, but the Vikings will get a run on the board. It is 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on to end the 5th. It is Kamiak 6, Lake Stevens 4. As Alec Ibachuan, no, it won't be Alex Ibachuan. It will be number 9, Tate Brust, who will be on the mound in the 6th, facing off against Andrew Stupi, A.J. Riley, and Alex Ripke in the top of the 6th inning. 6-4, Kamiak over Lake Stevens. And we are now back. We're at the top of the 6th inning. It is Lake Stevens' 6th pitcher of the game. It is number 9, Tate Brust, who was originally the third baseman. And that was replaced by Connor Bardou. First pitch to Andrew Stupi into the infield, and it is caught by the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, for the first out of the 6th inning. As he'll bring up the first baseman, A.J. Riley, who is 0 for 1. Tate Bruss, no wins, no losses with an ERA of 0. As in 4 innings, he has allowed 4 hits, has walked 3 and has struck out 1. And now we go to another pitch. This one to A.J. Riley, who tosses it to Tate Bruss, and he drops the ball. As Will tries tossing it to Tate. At first base, it'll be another error, the 6th error for Lake Stevens, and the Knights have a runner on first with 1 out. It'll bring up the catcher Alex Ripke, who is 1 for 2. And the first pitch is strike 1, looking to the 8-hitter.
Hey, get your out, Connor.
And the 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2 to Ripke.
Just like that kid, I'm in.
And Tate ahead of the count already on the 3rd batter he sees, is throwing his 5th pitch. Going low for a ball, 1 to Trey. For 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tate getting the sign from Trey. And the 1-2. Hard hit ball, this one going to Miller. Tosses it to, you can't toss it to the shortstop Zalesko in time. It's an error. And that is error number 7. And that is error number 7 on Lake Stevens, as Braden Miller could not pick up the ball in time. And there are runners on first and second with 1 out. Brings up the 9-hitter, not Wason Venata, that is his older brother, Cyrus Venata, the left fielder, who is 0 for 1 with a stolen base and a run scored. He's also been walked twice. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And the 0-1 pitch. It'll be a high fastball. He swings at that one. He'll make contact and he'll roll towards the Lake Stevens dugout. No balls and 2 strikes. Tate ahead on the count once again. And Kamiak, they'll be facing off against an upstart Glacier Peak team. A huge Jackson team. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, the first strikeout for Tate. Runner still on first and second. Bringing us back to the top of the order for the 5th time around. It is Andrew Moore, who is 0 for 2. And the first pitch, strike 1 looking right down the middle. Andrew Moore, he has been walked back in the 5th inning, struck out in the 3rd, got on base on an error by Braden Miller, later got a stolen base and later scored. 0-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. He's tricking Moore with the curveball there and grounded out to the shortstop Hunter Zalesko back in the 1st inning. And Tate with a chance to end the inning. The 0-2 pitch outside, ball 1. That was a close pitch by Tate Bruss. Andrew Moore is pretty patient out there as Tate Bruss has a chance to end the inning here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Looking over at second, the 1-2, fly ball, foul. So the next 3 teams for Kamiak, Glacier Peak, Jackson and then Mariner. Mariner is still searching for their first conference win of the season. The 1-2 fly ball. That one will go towards foul territory. Tanner Lind running for it. But will not get to it as it'll get past the first base line. As Glacier Peak, they're a team that has been pretty good. Even though they lost a number of their players. Jackson, same thing. They have done way better. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. And Kamiak once again leaves runners on. It is no runs on no hits. 2 errors and 2 runners left on. But no runs will score. That is the huge part. And that is that Lake Stevens still trailing Kamiak by the score of 6-4. As we go into the bottom of the 6th inning. Bryce Coates still on the mound for the Knights. We'll bring up the 9-1 and 2 hitters of Braden Miller, Ben Pizer, and Trey Long to try and make this a ball game again as we go into the bottom of the 6th. And we are now back into the bottom of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens trailing Kamiak 6-4. Now we have a couple of chances to try and make things right here with a relief pitcher on the mound for the Knights in Bryce Coates, who was able to get out of a jam in the 5th inning with runners on the corners. And the first pitch for Bryce Coates to Braden Miller, a ball 1 upstairs. Braden Miller 1 for 2, hit a double in the 4th inning and tried to get a run on the board. What was caught stealing at home. The 1-0. Ball 2 gets in and out of the glove of Alex Ripke. There's also an update on a couple of the Lake Stevens players. Will Wentz, he is able to play, but has been experiencing arm discomfort. 2-0 pitch is the bottom part of the strike zone. Strike 1 looking. He's experiencing a little bit of arm discomfort. And he's throwing arms, so he's not going to pitch today, but he will pitch next week. The 2-1. And the 2-1 pitch, strike 2 looking, fastball right down the middle. And that Theron Perkins, it was expected that he was going to play today, but it's pretty sure that he might play next week as well. 2-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. And Bryce Coates gets Braden Miller swinging for the first out of the 6th inning. Brings us back to the top of the order, and Ben Pizer, who is 1 for 3 with a stolen base and a run scored back in the 1st inning off a leadoff single. These next 3 hitters are going to be huge for the Vikings. First pitch, ball 1 going outside. We know that Ben and Trey are going to be huge in the Vikings' chances of trying to come back in this game. And if possible, Connor, Will, and Christian will also be a huge part in it as well. The 1-0, outside ball 2. And Bryce, the 2-0. Fly ball, that's out for a foul with Alex Ripke running for it. They'll hit the top of the shed. There's a couple of sheds that are behind the Lake Stevens. There's one behind the Lake Stevens dugout, and there's another one behind the Lake Stevens bleachers, and they hit the one behind the Lake Stevens bleachers. And where the old bullpen was, it's weird. The floor is rocks, there's wires on top. Try and get some area. The 2-1 pitch, strike 2 looking. And Bryce Coates, the 2-2. Inside, 1 hopper, ball 3. That one rolling away from Ripke. And towards the on-deck hitter, Trey Long. Full count, 3-2. And this is a huge at-bat right here. The payoff pitch, line drive ball, gets past the glove of a diving Nick Lawman. Or no, it gets past the diving glove of a second baseman, Luke Doden. And it'll be a 1-out single there in the bottom of the 6th. Brings up Trey Long. That brings up Trey Long. Again, he is 1 for 2. Struck out swinging back in the 1st. Hit a single in the 3rd and later scored and got on base on a full count walk. First pitch, ball 1. Ripke looking over at first.
Hey, you got this, kid. Trey, you're looking great out there. Get driving now, kid. Okay. So nice, Pat. I like your hair. Pat. You're fine. I got some guy. I like him. Pat.
And Bryce Coate looking over at first base. The 1-0 pitch, fly ball. That is, looks like that might be in fair territory, but that will fall foul. That one landing behind the Lake Stevens dugout. 1 ball, 1 strikes. It's Trey, Connor, Will, Christian. These next 4 hitters, they are huge power hitters. So if you want a guy to possibly hit a dinger for you, these are the guys to look to. Especially with a guy on base if you're down by 1 run or down by more than 1 run. And the 1-1 pitch inside for a ball 2. And Bryce, the 2-1 fly ball. This one going into foul territory. And this one will go just over the fence. The right fielder, Andrew Stupi, and the second baseman, Luke Doughton, were both running for it. It'll be 2 balls and 2 strikes. And now make Bryce ahead of the count. Throw to first, not in time to get Ben. Nice reaction. And a nice heads-up reaction by Ben Pizer. Get back to first base. And Bryce looking over at first base. The 2-2 pitch. Inside, ball 3. And above the strike zone, it's another full count for Bryce Coate. And Bryce Coate getting a couple more baseballs. Or Alex Ripke, the catcher, getting a couple more baseballs.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And the payoff pitch by Bryce upstairs, ball 4. Runners on first and second. As the game-tying run is now on first base again. For Lake Stevens against Kamiak. And apart from the other games that are going on, we also want to announce that the game between Cascade and Jackson has been rescheduled for tomorrow, Saturday, April 14th. But every other game has played, or as far as we know, has played. First pitch outside to Connor Bardew, who is 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored in the 5th. And Bryce looking over at second base. And the pitch, swing and a miss, and the ball will get past the catcher Alex Ripke, saying it's a foul ball. For a 1 ball and 1 strike. Ben Pizer at second, Trey Long at third. And the home plate umpire resuming play after Connor calls timeout. The schedule for next week in 4A baseball. And the 1-1 pitch, swing and a missed strike 2. And for a 1-2 count. Starting on Tuesday, April 17th, these would be the new matchups. Cascade playing at Monroe. That will be a good matchup. Mount Vernon will be playing here at home at Lake Stevens High School. Jackson playing Mariner and Kamiak against Glacier Peak. And the 1-2 pitch, low and outside for a ball 2. Two balls and 2 strikes. Bryce Coate, the pitch. Foul ball, hit the fence. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kamiak, they come into this game. They have 2 wins and 8 losses. And are 1-4 in conference play. And are currently riding a 4-game losing streak, with their last win being their first conference game at home against Mount Vernon. Runner goes, fly ball. Ben Pizer, he was trying to steal second. But he is the third base coach, Coach Novak, telling him to go back to second as Ripke, Cooper, and Doden. No, it's Ripke, Cooper, and Coate. They were all rushing towards the fence right in front of the Kamiak bleachers for a foul ball. There'll still be 2 balls and 2 strikes. And that was interesting. They were just all like shuffling right in front of the fence. They were shuffling to try and find the ball. They were not communicating with each other. And the ball just lands right in front of the bleachers. And Doden, the second baseman, trying to trick Ben Pizer by moving away from the second base bag. This is a huge at-bat. Not only in this inning, but in this game. 2-2 fly ball. That's another foul. Connor Bardou doing a really good job fighting in this at-bat. Looks like the rain for now. Looks like the rain for now has stopped. Timeout by Kamiak. I've spent the past a good, 2.5 hours. It is currently 6:25 Pacific Standard Time. This game started at 4, holding an umbrella, sitting in the same spot. Doesn't do really good when you're a growing body. And the 2-2 pitch is caught by the first baseman, A.J. Riley. And a nice play. He tries going to first to try and get Trey Long, and doesn't get him. A nice snag by Riley, and that just goes straight to him. And a score 1 will go to Bryce Coate on that long at-bat against Connor Bardou, and it brings up the cleanup hitter, Will Wentz. He is 1 for 2 with a single, a walk, and a run scored. First pitch, ball 1 outside. It's still very cloudy, but at least it's not raining. That's a good part. And the 1-0. Hard hit ball. That one's going in the right field. Stoopy and Doughton both running for it. And that will fall in foul territory as Luke Doughton was running for that one. For 1 ball and 1 strike. I have feeling in my legs again. Oh boy, this is been a good 2.5 hours sitting in the same spot. I don't know how broadcasters in minor league and Major League Baseball do this. Just sit in the same spot for like a good 3 hours. And 1 ball, 1 strike. And it'll be a strike 2 called as the runners will advance. It'll be a stolen base for Ben Pizer, his 3rd. And a stolen base for Trey Long, his 1st of the year. But Bryce Coate has a chance to end the inning here as he is ahead of the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch by Bryce. Foul chopper, this one going towards the on-deck hitter, Christian LaPierre. Here in the bottom of the 6th. Bryce Coate ahead on the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Getting the sign from Alex Ripke. And the 1-2 pitch. Foul ball hits the fence.
Here we go.
Fights for the at-bat, the 1-2 pitch. That one just gets outside the strike zone. Ball 2, and there's a couple disgruntled Kamiak fans who thought that was a strike. Will Wentz. It's either going to be Will Wentz or Bryce Coate with a chance to change the game. 2-2. Line drive ball. That will go into Morgan White, the shortstop. Throw to first is in time, and it'll end the 6th. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Lake Stevens, they still trail by 2 as Tate Brust will come back onto the mound in the top of the 7th inning, facing Michael Cooper, Luke Doughton, and Morgan White, as Kamiak still has a 6-4 lead over the Lake Stevens Vikings. And we are now back into the top of the 7th inning. Kamiak leading Lake Stevens by the score of 6-4. Tate Brust back on the mound. The pitch, try to pitch a second full inning of work as he'll face off against the number 2 hitter, Michael Cooper, the third baseman. He is 1 for 3 with a walk and a run scored coming into this game. First pitch, a fly ball. This one will go in the right field. Tanner Lind, he is under it and will make the catch for the first out of the 7th. And Tate Brust, 2 balls, 13 strikes, and 15 pitches. No runs, no hits, 2 errors, and 2 runners left on, with a total of 6 runs on 4 hits, 7 errors, and 13 runners left on for Kamiak. It has been a huge offensive day for the Knights. First pitch, a strike 1 looking to Luke Doughton. He was 0 for 2 with an RBI ground out to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, back in the 5th. And the 0-1. The ball 1 inside to Trey Long. And Lake Stevens in the last few innings, they had a shot at trying to tie this game up. They had a couple missed opportunities. The 1-1. Outside, ball 2, Tate trying with the curveball. And the 2-1 pitch. This will be a ball 3 outside with Trey Long. Looked like he was trying to frame the pitch a little bit, but if he didn't move his glove, the ball gets away from him for a ball 3. Now I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think he's framing. Seriously, hope he's not framing, but that's just me. The 3-1 pitch, line drive ball, straight to the shortstop. Zalesko makes him step back a couple steps. He throws to first, and in time will go to Will Wentz, and we'll get Doughton for the second out in the 7th. Brings up Morgan White, 2 for 3 with 2 RBI singles in the first inning and then the second inning.
Hey, you guys, kid, let's go get your ground ball.
And the first pitch, a fly ball going to center field. Christian LaPierre going back and making the catch in the 7th inning. Will end on just 7 pitches, no runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on. Lake Stevens, they need 2 runs to tie it and 3 to walk it off against Bryce Coate and the Kamiak Knights in the bottom of the 7th inning. It'll be Christian LaPierre, Hunter Zalesko, and Tanner Lind, the 5, 6, and 7 batters in the bottom of the 7th inning. Last hope for the Lake Stevens Vikings to keep their winning streak alive and to bring their overall record back up to 500. Bryce Coate coming back up on the mound, or at least as far as we know, because there is currently nobody on the mound right now for Kamiak. But we'll get to you as quick as we can. Bottom of the 7th inning, Kamiak 6, Lake Stevens 4. And we are now back into the bottom of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens trailing Kamiak 6-4. What his history tells us that Lake Stevens has a shot against Kamiak. For anyone who doesn't remember, last year, Kamiak tied the game up at 3 in the top of the 7th inning, but Lake Stevens came back and won the game by a score of 4-3 on a bases-loaded suicide squeeze by pinch hitter Travis Staffenhagen, who was a senior at the time, to win the game. Bryce Coate, first pitch to Christian Lapierre, who is 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a double.
Oh man, you look down at that pen.
He has a 1-0 count, strike one looking. Bryce Coate with a tough 6th inning, 13 balls on 16 strikes for 29 pitches. Bring him a total of 14 balls, 18 strikes on 32 pitches. 1-1, foul ball, hits the fence, a 1-2 count. There will be no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Bring it to a total of 4 runs on 9 hits, 1 error, and 9 runners left on. As Bryce is ahead of the count early, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2, outside, ball 2. And the next opponent for both these teams, Lake Stevens playing against Mount Vernon. And we'll play them at home, while Kamiak will be playing at Glacier Peak. And both of those games will be played on Tuesday, April 17th. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bryce Coate getting the sign from the catcher, Alex Ripke. And the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. A foul tip into the glove of Ripke. And Bryce Coate has his 2nd strikeout of the afternoon. And it'll bring up Hunter Zalesko, who was 1 for 2 with a 2-run double back in the 3rd and was walked back in the 5th. First pitch, a foul ball, hitting the fence.
Go, Hunter. Go, right here. Come on.
Yo, Hunter, need your kid. That's a heck of a hat. Do your pitch, okay? I believe that we will win. Oh, let's go,
And the 0-1 pitch, fly ball, foul ball. This one going behind the Lake Stevens bleachers. For an 0-2 count, Bryce Coate getting a hold of the Lake Stevens hitting since he got on the mound for Luke Doden, who threw 4 1/3, allowing 8 hits, 4 earned runs, walking 3, striking out 7 in 94 pitches. Next pitch is a foul ball that'll hit the fence right next to the Lake Stevens bleachers. Be an 0-2 count. And pinch hitting for Tanner Lind will be number 14, Aaron Lampin, and the 0-2 pitch, a foul ball.
I like the work, Justin.
As Hunter Zalesko is fighting in this at-bat early with a no ball, 2 strike count. And the 0-2 pitch upstairs and above the strike zone, barely for a ball 1.
I like it a lot.
And Bryce Coate, the 1-2, a 1-hopper to Ripke. For a ball 2, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Keep working. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Go now. Everyone's done, baby. Let's go. Win it.
The 2-2 pitch upstairs, ball 3. And it'll bring up the massive turnaround in this at-bat from an 0-2 count down to a 3-2 full count for Bryce Coate. This might change the motivation of this game, and the payoff pitch outside for a ball 4. There's a couple Kamiak fans who don't like that call. Hit the outside part of the strike zone for a 1-out walk, and Hunter's at first. And pinch hitting for Tanner Lind will be number 14, Aaron Lampinen. making his first appearance in a while for the Lake Stevens Vikings.
Go small. Let's go, baby. Go.
Take out Trent's left pieces.
Go, baby.
And the first pitch to Bryce Coates, strike one looking.
Hey, Ron! Hey, Ron!
That guy, let's go. Come on.
Hey, Ron!
And Bryce looking over at first base to 0-1. Hard hit ball going in the right field.
Get out there, ball!
However, back goes to right fielder Stoopy, who will make the catch for the second out. Has to go back a couple of ways to make the catch. Hunter at first. And this game for Lake Stevens will rely on the number 8 hitter, number 9 Tate Brust, who is 0 for 1 with a fly out to the center fielder, Andrew Moore. Bryce looking over at first base and will not get Hunter Zalesko. Throws to the first baseman, A.J. Riley. And the senior right-hander getting the sign, fly ball. This may do it. The third baseman making the catch, and the game is over. The Lake Stevens Vikings get their first conference loss in a little over 2 weeks, actually. As the Lake Stevens Vikings will lose to the Kamiak Knights by the final score of 6-4. Lake Stevens looks like we have to wait a little while before their overall record will go up to a 500 record, as they are now down to 4 wins and 6 losses. And now have a 3-3 conference record, as they now have a 500 record there. While the Kamiak Knights, they got their first win, snapping a 4-game losing streak. They now have 3 wins and 8 losses, and are now 2-4 in conference play. The next game for the Lake Stevens Vikings will be next Tuesday, April 17th, here at Lake Stevens High School. If healthy, Will Wentz is expected to pitch against Mount Vernon's ace pitcher, junior Riley Olmstead. He's been their ace pitcher since he got on the team as a freshman, with Mount Vernon's head coach Tony Wolden saying that he is, quote, a once-in-a-generation player. Let's see next week. Best expected pitching matchup will be Will Wentz versus Riley Olmstead. We'll let you know if there's anything different before the game starts. But for now, final score, Lake Stevens 4, Kamiak 6. My name is Payne Patchett, and we'll see you next Tuesday at Lake Stevens High School on April 17th, 2018.